Welcome back, guys, to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and today we've got a phenomenal guest. I think Brayden. I think you've been on before,
I have,
at
I
least
have. It's been
once.
a
Yeah,
minute, but
yeah. It's been
I'm glad
it's
to
been
be
a little
back.
while. Brayden Staples here. We've got Brayden here from Dark Energy. You guys know I absolutely love Dark Energy, from the batteries to the solar panels to the just the chargers when we traveled internationally. How those have worked really well. Um, and we'll get into some of the gear stuff for you gear nerds out there. We'll get into that, but I also want Brayden to come on here and talk to us about his year, because he had I'd call it a banner year when it comes to hunting. And so Brayden isn't just some nerdy sales guy that talks about gear all the time. Brayden actually gets out there. Him and his wife get out there and they kill stuff. They actually fill tags,
We tried
and
to.
so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then again, for you gear nerds, you'll be able to stay tuned for a little bit later. We'll talk about some of the awesome things that we have already from Dark Energy that I've absolutely loved, and also get into some stuff that's launching here at Hunt Expo, because when this comes out, it'll be in the middle of Western Hunt Expo. Dark Energy has some really cool things that I'm really excited about for this year. We've been talking about for a couple of years now, and it's going to be awesome. So we'll get into all of that. But for people that don't know who you are, Brayden, who are you, man?
Yeah, my name is Brayden, as has been mentioned. I'm the marketing manager over at Dark Energy. Grew up here in Utah, so like not too far down the road from Jonathan, and just love spending time outdoors as much as I can. Whatever activity that may be, hunting, fishing, and that's kind of what led to me getting a job at Dark Energy. In that I wanted to be in the outdoor space, but I think I'm unique in that I also value relationships and helping people, which is why I wanted to do marketing. I want to be able to solve a problem for people, and I think Dark Energy does a really good job of doing that through providing portable power. So that's kind of just a brief background of me. I say I like getting out. I still am I know Jonathan had some high praise there. We had a very lucky year, is what I would consider it. And yes, we harvested some great animals, but I still consider myself on the very learning side of hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, no, for sure. But still, you and your wife had a great year. So let's go through that. Let's talk about this last year. What tags you had, and then your guys' experiences.
Yeah. So just as a kind of background, my hunt actually started pretty close to last year, Hunt Expo time, when last day of the expo, after people telling me, I've never drawn an expo tag, I decided to drop my name in the hat for just a few hunts. And a few months later, I found out I ended up drawing a limited entry rifle elk hunt for the Wasatch unit here in Utah. So that's kind of where my season started,
Yeah,
and I
it's a
was
big deal.
stoked about that. I've always loved elk.
Brief interruption here. I just want to let you know that right now, First Form has a phenomenal offer, 30 days free in the app that I personally use to check my food. As you can see there, this is my day so far today, but the app is super simple, guys. You get into the app here and you're able to track activity. You're able to track workouts if that's what you choose. If you don't have a program, you know, like the First Form Outdoors. This one's the at-home body weight. Let's see, we can go through. Anyway, you can browse all the different options on here, such as outdoor workouts at home if you have limited amount of weights or whatever it might be. If you're in a full gym, whatever, guys, there's so many programs in here available already ready for you. And of course, you can get a coach as well. So if you're looking for all of that in a great community, sometimes there's challenges in here like steps challenge, things like that. Guys, if you don't track it, you don't know what's going into your body. I'm guilty of that myself. I've been there. I'm changing things because I feel like personally I have failed my family in the health department. I hit the gym every day. Nutrition is a big thing that I have let fall by the wayside, though. So being more productive in the gym and more productive in the kitchen, both combined are going to end up with phenomenal results. I want that for you as well. So definitely head over to first off, pinned comment down in this video. Go to that to get 30 days free with the First Phorm app. Thanks so much, guys. Now let's get back to the show.
And even more than mule deer growing up, but I lately have fallen in love with mule deer, and that is because I had the privilege of hunting an absolute stud this last year, and it actually so you asked about my tags. I had the limited entry elk tag. I had a dedicated hunter tag here in Utah, which, for those who don't know, allows you to hunt all of the seasons. There's some other things around it. You can only kill 2 deer every 3 years. You need to do some service projects. Like, there's more to it, but it allows me to do what I want to do and get out more. Whether or not I'm killing something, I just want to be outdoors. And so I didn't really know what was going to come of that, and it ended up being the best decision I probably made to go and hunt a little bit more. And then my wife just had a general rifle, the later season rifle deer tag, and she had an over-the-counter elk tag, which we didn't end up filling. But that's kind of to set the season up what we went into it with.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, again, the Hunt Expo, which if you guys are, at the Hunt Expo right now, listening to this, there's the opportunity to put in for tags, which I personally have never done. I probably should. I know a lot of people that literally fly in from out of state just to put in for those tags. So it's something worth looking into. There's definitely a lot of people that put in for tags, but again, you've got Brayden here that, put in for it, and he drew a good tag. The Wasatch unit is definitely one of the good units here in Utah for sure, to go after a branch antlered bull. So I guess talk to us about that. So your season started, in February, getting the tag. Were you mostly focused on that tag this year, or were you kind of bouncing between that and mule deer?
People are going to be probably a little upset because my plan was to fully focus on that tag. I was like, hey, I'm only going to be able to kill 2 deer in the next 3 years. And I have this limited entry elk tag, so I'm going to go spend a bunch of time over scouting for it and kind of getting in shape, at least a little bit better shape than what I'm in, just in case I need to go further, push even more than I needed to. Well, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So I've been doing the getting in shape, a little bit of summer scouting, trying not to go too early, because I know by the time the rifle elk count rolls around, the elk start to move a little bit between the rut and the weather. So I'm not putting in a ton of time looking for that. And then I
guess we should preface this. Are you doing archery at all, or is it rifle only?
I am. The elk hunt is rifle only. The deer hunt, I was hunting everything. I'm very new to archery hunting, so there's a lot of stories behind that of me blowing stocks and some really hard stories. So I'll quit teasing. I actually have my buck will be at the Hunt Expo too, but this is the deer I ended up killing. It ended up going like green score 199.25. So I mean, just
that's decent. That's an okay buck.
So anyway, I'll move back up so you guys can hear better. But long story short,
that's awesome.
I found that deer right before the archery deer hunt started and ended up hunting that deer for 2 months. And instead of scouting for my elk hunt, like I think most people would have, I was hunting that deer on the mountain almost every day, trying to find him and trying to get him killed.
So. I can't blame you for that. I mean, that's a stud of a deer. So I'm not a huge mule deer guy myself. I hunt them, I eat them, but I don't dedicate as much time to them as some people do. I definitely prefer elk, and I prefer elk meat. But if I found one like that and I knew it wasn't in an area where he was going to constantly be bumped around, I would do the same thing.
Yep. So that's kind of why I got derailed a little bit. I do have to say so I hunted that deer. I never drew my bow back on him. I never pulled the hammer back on the muzzleloader. I got close-ish. Like I had him at 120 yards on the muzzleloader, but he turned and walked straight away from me. I had him at 77 yards on the archery, which as a beginner archer was a little bit
It's
further than I felt comfortable shooting. And so I had to lay the bow down and just sit there and watch him, which was extremely difficult.
Kudos to you for doing that, because a lot of people would just say, hey, I'm going to fling an arrow. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
You know, so kudos to you for doing that.
It was one of the hardest things ever. I had a buddy with me as well, so he was actually with me with a camera, so we could have filmed the entire thing. And so there was a little bit of added pressure, I guess in both ways. Added pressure that it would be awesome to have on camera, but added pressure of I don't want to have me totally messing up on camera, as well as I knew if I didn't bump this deer really hard, he'd still be there and I could still hunt him.
So he didn't have a lot of pressure on him then. That's good.
In fact, as far as I know, I was the only one hunting him. So
nice.
That also really, really helps, which was good. So long story short, I go through all of archery, put a lot of stocks on, no luck, get to muzzleloader, but once he shed his velvet, as deer do, they start to hide a little bit better, become more nocturnal. So I went from seeing him almost every day beginning of archery to seeing him once every 3 to 4 days. And like, I mean, we're talking a 500 by 500 yard box that he was living in. And I went from seeing him every day to once every 3 to 4 days. And I knew exactly where he was, which was real. Like, I know exactly where he was going to be, but I never would see him, which was really hard. And end of muzzleloader came, and then it was time to get ready for my elk hunt. And I was very grateful for a lot of people that had either the archery tag or some of the earlier tags that were willing to share a little information. They were, with it being a limited entry unit, I think people were a little less hold close to your chest, your spots, because you can only get this tag. I mean, the archery tag is like 5 to 7 points typically to draw. So it's every 5 to 7 years somebody's getting an archery tag, so they're not going to be able to hunt it next year. So that's also one thing I love about the hunting community, is there are opportunities to talk and share and have those experiences. And that was honestly almost more meaningful than actually going on the hunt, was the preparation for it and spending time with people who'd been in the unit, who my family going and exploring new places, in side by sides or whatever. And it was absolutely incredible. So I'll keep it a little bit shorter, but I'll summarize how the hunts went. First day of the elk hunt, we were driving in and getting to the spot we wanted to be opening morning, and it ended up being super foggy. And so we were about 15 minutes later than I wanted to be. And when we got to the spot, there were 4 side-by-sides parked there already. And it's during the spike elk hunt, but I've never been one to want to purposefully rush in there and think it's all about me. And so I decided to go somewhere else. I looked at the buddy I had with me and said, like, hey, I don't want to mess up what they're doing. I don't want them to mess up what I'm going to be doing. So we're going to keep driving. And we ended up going down the road and seeing lots of people. And I thought we were not going to see an elk that opening day. And we ended up stopping on just this random road for half a second in a spot you would not normally stop in. And my buddy, like 2 miles away, saw this herd of elk with a bull in it. We could tell it was a bull, but we had no idea how big it was. And we decided to get closer. Got a little closer. We decided to get closer. It's making me sound like a road hunter. I was fully prepared to go hike in somewhere a few miles and see what was happening, but we ended up on the road. And with where this bull was, he was only 800 yards off a like main road. But But with the way the topography was, you couldn't see him from that road. You could only see him from forever away where we first saw him. And so we ended up getting, I mean, seriously, right off, like off the road, we hiked up 150 yards up this embankment, and then he was 700 yards over in the trees, bedded down with his cows. By this point, we knew he was good enough for me to shoot a great 6-point bull. I snuck into about 400 yards, and we just kind of waited and watched, and finally he came out, and I made a shot. I wouldn't say it was the best shot, but eventually we, after a little follow up, we got the bull. It opening afternoon of the hunt, so I probably could have tried to be a little more picky. One thing that I decided before I even went into the hunt was if I got an opportunity at a great bull, I wasn't going to pass it in the hopes for something better. And
Yeah.
so opening morning, I saw a bull that fit right in line with probably the low to medium end of what I would have been happy with, and I took it. Like, I was very happy with that. The other thing that was also on my mind is the early rifle deer hunt started in 3 days. So I kind of wanted, as much as I loved hunting the elk, I kind of wanted to get back and chase that deer again. So I got the bull, called my brother. He brought a buddy. My other friend that was with me brought 2 guys, and we ended up having 6 dudes for like a half a mile pack out. And it was just...
That's so cool, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. That, and those are the best. I know some people talk about embracing the suck, and I want to make it as hard and as difficult as possible. Honestly, it, I don't know. I've come to the conclusion, and I've been hunting out west for, man, what's it been? Almost a decade. If you have a job, you have a family, and your job isn't content creation or somehow living in the mountains for all of hunting season, uh, it's not as awesome as it's cracked up to be, to go out and try and have this embrace the suck type moment. Like, some people love that, and that's cool. But for me, I'm wanting to be able to hunt more, and a lot more of my time now is also going to be dedicated to my kids hunting.
Yeah.
So I'm having even less time, and so for me, it's like I'm seeing this window shrink and shrink. I'm like, honestly, as long as, for me, if it gets me excited and it's a mature animal, I and for me, like with deer, same thing. I mean, my deer hunt was essentially a road hunt this year, and just happened to come together that way. But what was cool about it was my son was with me, and we didn't have. I mean, man, I could have, between me and him as an 11-year-old and me, we could have packed this thing out. We had probably even less than half a mile. I think it was, I don't know, maybe 800 yards of a pack out, something. So yeah, about half a mile. But anyway, it was going back to the whole road hunting thing versus, making it difficult or this huge animal. I, I don't know. I kind of want to come in and break that mold and say, hey, if it gets you excited, you drew a tag, that's exciting. You filled a tag, which is, in my opinion, more exciting than trying to hold out for something. And you were able to get back in time for your mule deer that you've been putting a lot of time in. And you put hundreds of pounds of meat in the freezer, of really good. My favorite meat by far is elk meat.
Yes.
So, to say that, I do it too, but like for you to almost kind of discount of, it was low to medium bull and kind of a road hunt, dude, it was a freaking hunt. You had a great time. You got to spend it with 7 other dudes that you love, and you filled the freezer with some awesome meat, and you had a great experience, and you're able to kill a bull on the first day you were out there. That's freaking awesome. That's
Yes.
exciting.
Okay. Yes, it was a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I appreciate you saying that, because I think there is a stigma that the hunt needs to be hard. It needs to go on for a while. I do think there is some that makes the story better. I could talk for hours on my deer hunt, because I did that. I chased a deer for 3 months or 2.5 months or however long the seasons were. almost every day trying to kill him, and I finally got him. And there's a lot more to that, but also like there is something special about just any hunt, and like not to take it lightly. You're taking an animal's life to fill your freezer. Like there is some of that in it, and the bull I got again is a great bull. I'm very happy with it. I wouldn't trade it or the memories for anything, even though it seemed to go by really fast, because it was just one. We went up the night before, camped over, and then shot a bull the next day. We packed up and went home. I think if we'd have been there for a couple of days, it really would have sucked, because by the end of the first day, everything was soaked. Anyway, it was a great experience. I finished my elk hunt, came back, saw my deer a couple days later, tried to sneak. I was at 600 yards, which I can shoot, but I'm not that comfortable shooting. So I tried to sneak into 200 and got over there and sat there for probably 45 minutes and never saw the deer, and went to back out and actually leave for the morning and come, because I had to come back for work. And I luckily get to hunt in a place that's close enough to my house that I can go hunt in the morning, come back home, work all day, go back in the evening. But I went to go home and got back to where I'd left my spotting scope and turned around, and all I could see is antlers sticking out of a bush. And I'm like, he's still there. So I pulled out Onyx, which is an amazing tool. Like, I'm so grateful that we have the electronic tools. We can talk about some of those as we get into the batteries, but pulled out Onyx, found a ridge that was kind of that medium distance, about halfway, closed the distance halfway. So I was about 300 yards, and walk over, I'm getting set up. I brought my spotter with me this time because I was like, hey, if I can get a shot, maybe it'll be cool to get it on video and at least see, because I was alone at this point, at least know where I hit in case I didn't make the greatest shot. Set up the spotter. As I'm setting, I got my gun ready just in case. And as I'm setting up the spotter, I see him stand up in my peripheral vision, and I start freaking out because I'm not ready yet. I took a deep breath and stayed calm, and I actually think it helped me make a better shot, because my adrenaline spiked in that moment, and instead of fumbling around to get ready to shoot, I was fumbling around trying to get my spotting scope on the deer. And then I was able to drop down, calm my nerves a little bit, and take my shot and harvest my deer, which was, again, absolutely incredible. So
yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome that, you took a couple months to do it. You kind of kept it under wraps, which I don't blame you. You've got people out there that they even know a ridge line, and they'll swarm on an area, which is crazy to me. And then the spotting scope, that's a thing that I always recommend people do. And I'd even say, make sure your phone that you're digiscoping with, make sure you put on slow-mo. Most phones have that capability. It may not be as high a quality zoomed in, but you are able to get an even better view of what's going on with the shot, and slow it down even further. And digiscoping is cool too. And when you've got your kids old enough to be able to go out and do it, like having my son there for the doe pronghorn hunt, and him not having to like line his eye up in the spotting scope and everything, just having that bigger screen, digiscoping is so much easier. He was actually able to run the spotting scope for me as the antelope started to run. He was able to pan with them and watch her fall over after
awesome.
The shot. So yeah, it was having that spotting scope's key for that, but also especially if you're solo, knowing where you hit is definitely a big deal. But yeah, that's awesome, dude. Freaking months of chasing a deer, and that's a good deer. That's a really good deer. So congratulations on that.
It will be at the Dark Energy booth at Hunt Expo. Okay. I'm going to have it on top of a backpack with a solar panel on it. So at least the antlers will be. I'm getting a shoulder mount, but it won't be done in time, and that's okay with me. I'm not in a big rush to get it. As long as I can flip through the photos on my phone or have something a little bit to keep that memory alive, it's great for me. Um, I guess the last hunt we ended up doing, I froze my wife to death on an elk hunt. I thought she was never going to want to hunt with me again. Trying to get her an elk, it wasn't even for me, and no luck there. And then and that happens. Like, that is part of hunting. By the way, I would like to remind people I did have a phenomenal year, and most of it was extremely lucky. But also we had times where we were probably up there 5 or 6 days of the 7-day hunt and didn't see an elk. So, like, that's just how it goes sometimes. After that, jumped into deer season. Yeah, ended up not getting the deer I was expecting my wife to shoot, because I was watching it with the deer I shot, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they'd been together for like 3 months. And my cousins ended up getting that one.
Okay.
So they ended up harvesting that deer, and that was okay. So my wife and I decided to go to a different place, and she ended up getting the deer she got, which was another phenomenal deer. So just that was what her hunt ended up being. I mean, it was super simple. We set up, we kind of knew, knowing the area helps a lot. So knowing where the deer are going to come out, we set up, we didn't know what was going to come out. And then again, it was one of those, she saw that something she liked, so we got it. I actually got all 3 shots on the animals we got this year on camera, which was exciting. I know I just mentioned the Digiscoping, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved every second of being able to do that. It helps. I watch the videos all the time. It helps make the memory a little sweeter. And also, more importantly, like, know where you hit. So I mentioned on my elk, I didn't have the best shot. It dropped a little faster than I was expecting. My left and right was perfect. And instead of going right into the kill zone like I wanted to, it dropped early and went and grazed the bottom of the chest and hit the opposite side leg.
Mm.
And so, anyway, we were able to quickly finish it off. But essentially, knowing where my bullet hit told me, first of all, if I would have missed and it would have been a clean miss, we would have let it go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
or tried to get back on it some other time, but it wouldn't have been a rush. But knowing that it was hit and wounded and not a good hit ups that intensity of, okay, let's go now. And yes, like, looking back, I wish there were other things I would have done to make sure that would have been better, but it's hindsight's always 2020. In the moment, I felt great about the shot. Like, I felt very calm. I felt very steady. I had all of my rests. It just, I'm guessing with the angle, dropped faster than I was expecting. So
Yeah, it's crazy you say that. I mean, so spotting definitely it's helpful. It's a helpful tool. It's fun for, if you want to share it on social media. I do find it funny. My shot on my antelope, she was quartering to me a little bit. It was about a 450-yard shot, and I held more on the peak of the shoulder because I had about a 20-mile-an-hour crosswind, and I didn't have a dope chart for, because I knew I was shooting on flat ground. I wasn't too concerned about it. I just kind of guesstimated, 6.5 PRC might drift a couple inches, whatever, at 450 yards. Well, turns out it doesn't drift that much at 450 yards, but it ended up, I mean, somehow I ended up missing the shoulder, so maybe it did drift an inch or so. But watching the people's comments on my video just kind of reminded me of how people can see the same shot and get a different perspective every single time, because there's some people like, oh, great shot, other people are like, oh, that was guts, other people were oh my gosh, you shattered her shoulder, and then another one, oh, that's a terrible that she was able to run off, I can't believe you didn't drop her in her tracks. I'm like, how do you guys see the same shot and like everyone has such a different perspective? And obviously I've got the final perspective where I went up to her and like there was one shot and it went through all the goodies and missed the guts, and Like I know I knew my angle and my rifle and everything. But it is funny that, you know, some people can see that. And then my son, who's still new, you can listen to him in the audio. He's like, "You missed." I'm like, "I did not freaking miss." Like, I know I did not miss. And but in his mind, like, he's expecting the animal too, I guess, to drop because he hasn't watched enough enough kill shots being with me. Like, we've hunted quite a bit, but I haven't shown him enough, I guess, of you know, they run off, especially with an arrow. But in this case with a rifle, like, unless you spine them or you know, you high shoulder them, like, they don't just drop. um and then we had the discussion, well, why don't you headshot? And I said, honestly, that's a great question, because most people outside of the US, they go for the head because that's the light switch, and if you're dialed in enough, that's actually the better option. If you don't have to track anything, there's no worry about chemical, like, I say chemicals, hormones running through the bloodstream and toughening up the meat or making it taste a little weird. Uh, and I said, you know what? Honestly, any future rifle hunts that I have that are not, because I love my Euro mounts, so
Mhm.
that's another reason I
Yep.
don't want to headshot a bull or a buck. But
Yes.
any other future female of that species hunts that I have, I will be going for headshots, just because it, in my opinion, makes more sense. And some people might get upset about that. That's cool, whatever. I'd love to hear their argument on why they would get upset about that. But I think it's more ethical, personally. If you're more dialed in because you got a smaller target and it's literally the light switch to the body, I don't see, why that would be a bad thing. But that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. I actually also got a cow elk this year. I haven't talked a ton about that one, and yeah, I ended up waiting until I watched her come in from 800 yards to about 80, and then shot her in the head. So like, it was very humane, very quick, very more good meat for the freezer, which was
Yeah.
mainly the
Yeah.
purpose
And
of
then you
that.
don't worry about ruining meat too. Yeah, exactly.
I also had to
Exactly.
laugh, and this will be the last thing I say on my elk hunt. My buddy that was filming was like, "Oh, you just smoked it, right in the vitals." Because on the video, you're watching the bullet arc, and it's perfect, headed straight
Mm.
for where it's supposed to, and the last second, it just drops below. And so he thought my shot was perfect, and then watching it back, it was clearly not. But in the moment, it's so easy to think something different based on
Hmm.
what you just saw. And so having that video is so helpful to
Yeah.
be able to go back and
And the thing is, like, out west, there's a lot less. I mean, a lot of people kill stuff, right? But there's a lot less dog tracking and stuff. If you go out to Midwest and Eastern hunters with whitetails, uh, most good and high volume trackers can tell you even before they start to track
watch. Mhm.
if they're going to find that animal or not. It's crazy how, because they have so much experience behind it. And it's so funny to hear people, because they'll everyone says they smoked it. They smoked it. Smoked it right in the heart. Smoked it, and like it's like, one, I know enough about anatomy to, like, I'm like, okay, the chance of you hitting it in the heart is very
Yeah.
slim. And two, if you hit it in the heart, they're not going to run this far. Like, just
Right.
but people always have that in their head, like, I smoked it. And that's the other thing too, is I've got to I didn't film enough of my mule deer hunt to put a video together, but I do want to talk about it, because I didn't check my equipment right before that hunt. And I had been hunting whitetails. I had been hunting this rifle doe pronghorn. And I hadn't checked this particular bow since elk season. And I thought everything was locked down. I did not silver sharpie anything like I should have, and I always talk about doing. I didn't follow my own advice, and I ended up getting real lucky with this buck. It's the biggest buck I've shot to date. Nothing even close to what you got, but biggest one I've shot to date. He had 7 does with him. I shot him at, I want to say it was an 80-yard shot. It was pretty, and it was a steep uphill 80 yards. So line of sight was
Okay.
probably further than that. But with the cut on the rangefinder, it was about 80 yards. So far shot. And I thought I hit him back, like diaphragm guts kind of back.
Yep.
He came running straight down to us. Essentially, I heard him topple, pile up. Um, my son was with me, and I'm sitting there shaking, and he thought that I had missed again. Again, this is him and his lack of experience. And I'm like, no, I heard a thump, like I hit the animal, but I didn't hear the empty pumpkin like you hear with the lungs. And so I was concerned it was gut shot. So we walked back to the truck, which again wasn't that far away, put the bow down, put everything down, calmed down, called some people to get their bags to, come help the people that had said they wanted to help. And headlamps, because I didn't even have headlamp. Like, that's how unprepared I was. I had my backpack and my son's backpack, but like I was like, we're just driving around to see if we see anything worth going after. Like, just didn't have a lot of stuff. And so then we ended up going back down to him and he was right where he had piled up. I got really lucky. So I was below him, he was above me. My shot drifted so far because my sight, I found out later, and I'll get into that, but it drifted so far that it actually it clipped. So the way he was standing, his front or his back left leg, if you can picture this, back left leg, he was left side broadside to me, pretty good broadside. Left back leg was forward, so it actually clipped the Achilles of that one and went up and buried into the femoral on the right hind quarter.
Holy cow.
And he was dumping blood more than I've seen a lung shot.
Wow.
And he ran straight downhill and piled up. And that mechanical that I shot was just digging into that and just like not letting that wound close up. And it just was dumping blood out of both sides like nothing else. And because we get up to the animal and we're pulling him down, I'm like, where's my shot? Like, I'm like looking for the hole. I'm like, where's the hole? There's no hole. Did he just like get scared to death? Like, there's blood over here. Like, what the heck? And then we're cleaning him. I'm like, oh, that's embarrassing. And they're like, what? And I was like, I got him in the femoral. So it literally buried up in the pelvis area after clipping the left Achilles. It buried up in the pelvis of the right side hind quarter and just chewed up the arteries and veins and everything up in there. And he just like, he died faster than I've seen an animal die in a while.
Yeah.
And so that was lucky. Well, I went back to the flat range after that because I'd used a different bow for whitetail and that bow was dialed. I'd worked a lot on that bow. I had shot my rifle a lot, got that dialed in. I'd used this bow for elk hunting, in September, and now we're into November. And I took it out to the flat range. Dude, I was off the paper at 20 yards.
Oh, shoot.
Like, my up and down was great. It was perfect. My left and right, I was to the right off the paper, an 8x11 sheet of paper at 20 yards. And I was like, holy crap. I got lucky. I even hit that deer at 80 yards, uphill angle. Like, I got lucky. That was the luckiest. So now, like, that lesson right there, like, some people get embarrassed about that, right? They wouldn't want to talk about it. They whatever. But I'm like, dude, like, one, I still consider myself new. I've been archery hunting for almost 7 years, but I'm like, I still feel green. I don't kill big stuff. I go out to fill the freezer and to have a good time, and to kill something bigger than last year, more mature than last year is kind of my goal, stepping stones up. I'd rather have the meat than to get tag soup because I didn't kill something. And anyway, yeah, so I just say that to, I want to break that mold of people being worried about their, I guess, if you want to call them haters or people that are judging them, whatever, like, some people are going to say when I put that video out, some people are going to be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have been shooting at 80 yards. No, I'm well within a pie plate at 110 yards with that bow prior to elk season with broadheads on, not field points, at 110 yards. I was confident. I was good.
Yeah.
And that's not being cocky. That's just, I was confident in doing that shot. It's just a matter of, at that point, I was stupid for not checking my equipment before taking it out. Just trusting that it had sat there after running it through the rigorous elk season that I had. So I just recommend people doing that. Like check your equipment, like you with your bullet drop. Um, you know, maybe I don't know what caliber you're shooting or whatever, but maybe just did you have to dial? Did like what
I
happened in
did
that
dial.
scenario? Okay.
Yeah, I did dial. I was shooting a 300 win.
Ooh,
So
that's a thumper.
yeah, I dialed, and I'm not honestly, I am not 100% sure why. I know I originally, when I sighted it in, it was not suppressed, and when I was hunting, it
Mm,
was suppressed. And
yep.
so I know there is some drop there. And when I'd gone out to practice before, I shot at 300 at milk jugs and was smashing, like hit 2 or 3 in a row with my first 3
Mm-hmm.
shots and called it good.
Hmm.
And then going out, I guess that something with
Yeah, and that's where, you know,
suppressed,
again,
like, can
the
drop, and
elevation, temperature, all that stuff can come into play. Putting a suppressor on it, you know, that can shift, whether that's left, right, up, down, just depends on the suppressor, the round.
yep.
There's a lot that goes into it, but also people don't think about this. It doesn't happen to people like you and me so much that don't constantly dial. We're not out shooting matches and stuff a lot, but if you do dial and then come back to zero, there are some scopes that if you are trying to ball out on a budget, right, that don't return to zero. It's called tracking. It doesn't return to a true zero
Mhm. I didn't
the
know
same.
that.
So that's stuff that people that don't shoot a ton, they're not match shooters or gear nerds like myself,
I'm not a
and they
match
wonder
shooter,
why
sorry.
would you spend, you know, $1,500 to $2,000 on a scope versus this cheap Chinese scope that you can get for similar for what they need. It'll do the job. That's kind of what you're paying for is the fact that it will come back to the true zero rather than having that big of a shift, which again at 100 yards isn't that big of a deal, but I've seen some where you can be up to 1 MOA to 1.5 MOA off when you come back to zero. And if you're dialing out to 500, 600 yards on an animal, that could be the difference between 6, 7 inches of drop, you know? So anyway, just stuff like that. Like, again, I'm going to head into this season a lot less tinkering and a lot more focused on making sure your stuff is dialed in 100% and no question about it kind of deal. Yeah, because you don't want to mess up that. I mean, it would have sucked if you had missed that bull completely, you know?
It would have. It would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And my like takeaway is that I need to know my equipment better. Like I shoot a little bit, definitely not as much as I should. And so getting more practice in the off season with my rifle in various circumstances. It was that day was cloudy and rainy and foggy, and I actually thought we were going to get fogged out, so I wouldn't be able to shoot the bull because a cloud rolled through right before he stood up, and so like
So with the moisture, you know,
they're,
whether it's wind, moisture could have weighed that down and caused more drag on your bullet. Like there's so many things that we just don't, and that's why, you know, they've got Kestrels, they've got, you know, Leupold's coming out with a new set of binoculars, the BX6s that are, um, they have the element, I don't remember what they call them, but essentially sensors that can sense moisture, wind, and all that, and they calculate that into your dialing because it can make, especially with a big 30 caliber bullet, you know, even though 30, you know, 300 Win Mags, awesome round, it's a bigger bullet, so those things are going to affect it a little bit more, kind of deal. So anyway, yeah.
I will say one thing I did right, I guess, while we're continuing to talk about
Well,
it.
you killed the animal. That's right.
I killed it. I killed it. But when we were first set up, we were at 700 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And we had time, and I decided, instead of sitting there and taking a shot where, like, there's a lot of people out there that are a way better shot than me that would feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable shooting that distance, but I'm not one of them. And I tried to set my limit where it would be, so like 3 to 400.
Yeah.
And so instead of sitting on the hill being like, oh, I'll just chance a 700-yard shot, I closed half the distance and shot at 4 rather than 7.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah. I was going to bring that up and then I forgot about that point, but yeah, that and on your deer too, you know, closing the distance. It's fun to shoot targets out at extended ranges, it's so much fun to do that, to hear the steel, how long it takes for you see the target get hit at 1,000
Yep.
yards, and then like a second or two later you hear it. That's so fun. But yeah, there are very few for me personally situations where I would want to shoot an animal over 600 yards, or even 500. Very, very few situations. I'm not going to say that I won't ever do it, but it's just like with archery, very few situations that I'd fling an arrow at over 80 yards on an animal.
Well, one thing I thought was interesting was you mentioned you were hitting a plate at 120 with your bow. And like, I think there's somebody posted the other day, I don't even remember who it was, but they were talking about archery specifically and essentially the difference. And I'm very new to archery as well, but at least in my mind, there's two differences. There's I'm going to practice at this range, and then this is my like ethical hunting range where I'm willing to shoot this far on an animal. And granted, maybe there's a circumstance like if something's wounded where I'm willing to stretch that distance already. But for my first shot, it's going to be under X distance so that I can ensure I could be highly capable of shooting past that, but I want to ensure that my first shot is the best opportunity I can have and give.
Yep.
So
exactly.
That's my philosophy, at least.
Yeah, and that's what I want people to understand. Like with hunting, if it's safe, if it's well, I can't even say safe because I've done some pretty stupid stuff. But if it's I've put myself in some pretty cliffed out situations. But if it's ethical and it gets you excited, I recommend that. By far, especially if you're trying to feed your family and stuff the meat as well. You can only go out so many times and not get anything before you start to wonder, is it worth it going out, or are you just going out on a glorified camping trip with weapons, which you can do that and take out some cool steel targets and do that in the middle of summer and not have to worry about fall and winter weather. But anyway, yeah, so that's awesome. I mean, you had an amazing year. You got 2 elk in the freezer, and a deer. I mean, that's a lot of meat for you and your family to live off of.
2 elk and 2 deer. We're eating good.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I came back from Texas with, I think after it was processed, it was over 200 pounds of whitetail.
Holy smokes!
It was 9 deer, I think, that I came back with.
Jeez.
Yeah. We've been eating on that for a little while, but anyway, let's shift over to gear to kind of wrap things up here. So a couple of things. You guys know the tried and true, the Poseidon Pro. The orange one's the best color, always has been, always will be. There's no argument. If you want to drop a comment, that's fine. Still orange is the best. But these, absolutely love these. My wife has been a unintentional product tester of the Nano. She uses that thing probably more than I think anyone has. She loves it.
Great.
I really like the Nano as kind of a backup where it gets you through the rest of the day kind of deal. I keep one of those in my backpack, in my EDC pack. And then we've got we've got the international charger, which I've talked about. I've done videos on. They work phenomenal. My wife and I have both used them in Italy, Fiji, and we always take those on our trips. And then we have this bad boy here, which I've been really excited about. And I've done a video on it. I need to do a couple more that I've used it more. But let's talk about the XL here. And always, guys, it doesn't come with this charger,
right? It does not. It does not.
So you need this charger here because, and I've tested it. Not that I didn't trust Brayden. It was just me being lazy and not breaking this out of the package to use it first. This thing either won't or takes forever to charge if you use anything less than, what is this, 65?
65. Yep.
Yeah, 65.
So we designed our normal wall adapter. We have another little one that's a 20 watt. And like that's rough math. Right? Just rough math, you're talking 5 hours to recharge the Poseidon XL. With the 65 watt, it's like 1.5. Yep, that one. Mm-hmm. That's the 20 watt.
Don't use this one, guys. Use this one for your phones and your other stuff. Use this one. And they're really not, it's really not that much bigger.
Nope. It generates a lot more power. So the 65 watt is more similar to like your MacBook charger, your laptop charger. You're going to get a lot more juice and charge a lot faster with it. And so those are some other options of things that I would recommend charging from the bigger adapter, is like all of those devices. Most phones and things now as well have safety protocols built in. And so like if it is a little bit higher, as well as our adapters have it, that if the output is too high for what the phone can actually accept, it will tone down what it's able to do. And so like you can still use this for your phone for whatever else. So anyway,
Yeah,
long story short,
got
use
3
that for
plugs
the
in
XL.
there. It's got 3 plugs, so you guys can use it for other things too. But yeah, so that the XL here. So just for the nerds out there, I still don't know all the 27,000 milliamp hours,
Yes.
97.2 watt hours.
Yes. So
yeah, so it's pretty powerful.
a little bit of comparison. The Poseidon Pro is 10,000 milliamp hours.
Yep.
So like
It's
2.7 times, the amount. And there's a reason we made it the size we did, is all I'm gonna say. Or I guess I'll dive in a little bit more.
I mean,
Not
it's
all
about the
I'm
size
gonna
of
say.
a book, like a normal book.
Yep. So I'm gonna grab mine too, so I can explain a little bit more about it. The Poseidon XL is really new. We launched it in November. We sold out of the first shipment in a week. We just got double what we did for the first one and sold out last week. Luckily, we had another one on the way, and so we've kind of been doing like a pre-sale. They should be here next week. So, or like hey, sorry, you're gonna have to wait a week to get it more. But like they have been selling out really fast because they have been fairly popular. With the Poseidon XL, a couple things about it. As you mentioned, the size, like it's about the size of a book. I think that's a great example. There are a few reasons why we did it this size. One of them is so we could have a dedicated solar output port. So this port right here, it looks kind of funny. It's yellow and has prongs. The name of that port is called XT60. And that is a dedicated solar input port. Most people, unless you have the solar panel, will probably never even open this, because without the solar panel, this port doesn't do much for you. The actual battery capacity, which you mentioned, 97.2 watt hours or 27,000 milliamp hours, is actually right below the line that makes them TSA compliant. And so this is a battery you can fly with and be able to charge your laptops or whatever else it may be. And that's why we built it this size.
Kids' devices.
Yes, all your tablets, laptops, whatever it may be. Yeah. Underneath the other two doors, there are other ports. So, I mean, Jonathan's camera's better than mine, but you have 2 USB-A ports and 2 USB-C ports. The leftmost one is a 100-watt input and output port. So that's the one you'll want to use if you're charging your laptop or anything like that. Or recharging the device using the 65-watt wall adapter, use this or solar on this end. The 100-watt port is also powerful enough to run a Starlink Mini. So I think Jonathan has like the Starbat, which is like a super cool design. I'm kind of a fanboy of them, even though like technically our batteries can run Starlink Mini too. But awesome device. The thing that makes this battery different is you can fly with it. I know their battery starts to get into the size where like if you're going to travel, you can't take it as long. Their battery will run a Starlink a lot longer than this will. This on its own will run a Starlink for like 2 to 3 hours, just the battery. So it's kind of meant to be that we'll use it when you need it rather than run it all the time. That being said, where this really shines is when you pair it with the 60 or 56 watt solar panel. On a sunny day, the solar panel will recharge this battery faster than your Starlink will drain it.
Oh, cool.
So, like, that's kind of where that setup comes in. It's small enough for you to fly with it, but it's big enough that you could indefinitely run Starlink as long as you're getting enough sun. Which is really cool. It also, like, it's powerful enough that you could run your whole camp off it, laptops. Again, most of that you're probably not taking with you into the backcountry, but you're going to be able to get a whole bunch of cell phone charges out of it. You're going to be able to charge 4 devices at a time, and have a battery that is still the dark energy standard, where it's going to be waterproof, it's going to be drop resistant, it's going to hold up in conditions where other batteries might not. So there's my brief pitch on Poseidon XL. It is so convenient. I know we have the Pro, and the Pro technically you can plug into a laptop, but it's not going to do anything. This will actually fully charge a laptop. So instead of sitting at the airport searching around trying to find a wall outlet, you can plug this into your laptop and be able to work from wherever you're at, which is extremely.
Yeah, I take this when we go to like Fly High or Get Air, one of those trampoline parks. That's what I've edited videos and stuff while I'm sitting there, using this instead of, like you said, trying to find a wall charger. Yeah, so definitely pair it with this plug, guys. Get this plug while you're at it. Go ahead.
We do a bundle on our website. It's called the Basecamp bundle. And if you're looking for, like, we try and do charging bundles, so it gives you everything you need in one. So the bundle for this is called the Basecamp bundle. It comes with the plug Jonathan just mentioned. It comes with the solar panel. It comes with an accessory bag that you can put it all in, to keep everything waterproof and organized. So that you also save 10% when you buy the bundle, which is another added incentive for it.
Sweet. That and RedBeard.
And RedBeard. Hey,
stack them
up. They do stack. So
exactly.
You should be able to do both. I do want to dive into one more thing on this because it is a fairly new product. On some of these buttons, they do different things. So this top one that I have a sticker over, this will actually turn the device on when you push it. Hopefully mine's charged. I kind of just got it out of the box. It will turn the device on. You do have to push the button with the battery on it to start charging. Most of the other buttons you hold down and they'll do various things. So the one with like the little ring below the battery button, that's a reset. If you hold it down for 5 seconds, it'll reset. If we jump over to the other side, there's one that looks like a watch, and that is a small device mode. So if you're trying to charge like hearing aids or something like that, and it's not picking it up, if you press and hold that, it will turn it on. And then the bottom one that looks like a clock, if you hold it for 5 seconds, it will turn on a light, and you set a 1 hour timer. So it will charge for an hour and then shut off. If you do it again, 5 more seconds, it'll set a 2 hour timer, and then 1 more time shuts that off. So there is a timer option for those who only want to charge for a certain amount of time. It's a 1 hour, 2 hour. You do have to hold it down to get it to turn on, but overall, it's a great new battery, and we're excited to have it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's been in the works for a while, and I think you guys did a great job with it. And then let's see. Okay, so we've got those. We've talked about the solar panels. Let's talk about some of the new stuff you guys are.
Okay.
If you guys haven't swung by the Hunt Expo booth yet, definitely go do that. And then, if you're not able to make it, what are some of the things you guys are launching?
Yes. So it will be out probably 3 weeks after the Hunt Expo. We will have one there for people to see at Hunt Expo. So I'll start teasing it now, but we are getting into the solar generator game. So think larger batteries, Jackery, Goal Zero, big enough to run your camp trailer off of, big enough to plug into your fridge if the power goes out so all your wild game meat doesn't go bad. We will have a new solar generator there. the technology that our engineering team has put into it is pretty incredible. Ultimately, it's still going to charge your devices. That's really what it does, but it is weatherproofed enough that you can take it and not have to worry about it. They completely redesigned the vents so you can actually, like, when cleaning it, you can spray it off with a hose.
Okay,
So,
cool.
like, most of these big batteries, you don't want to get water anywhere near.
Yeah.
This one, you can literally spray it off with a hose to clean it. It comes on a like big wheeled cart, so if you're taking it outdoors, it is fairly mobile. Once you start getting into big batteries, they're heavy. I mean, even ours is 60 pounds, but because of the cart that they built, you can take it wherever you may need to. The cart also has you'll see a couple things. One of them is a suspension system, so if you drop it off of a tailgate, it will actually like bounce a little bit, and so it'll absorb that shock, so it'll last a lot longer. That's more built for repetitive drops over time, so your battery's going to last for longer. It's also elevated like 3 inches off the ground, so if you have it out at camp and you get caught in a monsoon, all of the water and mud and everything is going under your battery system rather than into the battery casing and completely ruining it. So it's going to be great. We'll have them available at Hunt Expo. They should be here beginning of March, and available on the website there. So that's our biggest thing. We have lots of other things that I could dive into. We have a whole slew of new products coming later this year. I'll jump on with Jonathan maybe again when we get a little closer and get him some to test. But for now, we're a little far away for me to want to start teasing those. But the one will be at Hunt Expo. You can actually purchase one there at Hunt Expo for a significant like pre-order discount. So
That's awesome. Yeah, the whole thing with that too is the solar panels, and I know you guys have some coming out more specifically for that generator, but you can mesh the solar panels together to get more wattage out of them.
yes, you
That way you can charge whether it be the XL, the Poseidon Pro, or this generator and future projects, with multiple solar panels if you don't already have a very large solar panel set up.
We will have a larger solar panel coming too. It's a 200-watt solar panel. So our biggest one right now is this one right here, and it's 56 watts. So it's about the size of a laptop case, maybe a little larger than that. And
Yeah.
we'll have
Wow.
a much larger one coming as well. And that's really everything new for Dark Energy. So
Sweet. Yeah. Guys, I mean, you guys have seen me running Dark Energy. I always have at least one in my backpack when I'm out hunting and stuff, when you're up at, whitetail camp, things like that. You want to be able to keep your stuff charged. If you want to be able to digiscope, if you want to be able to be in contact with people via Garmin, charge your watches, your cameras, if you're trying to, all of that stuff comes down to being able to have power. And you don't want to get a battery off of Amazon that you don't know is going to work or not. I mean, we ran into that quite a bit. I'm glad I brought pretty much all of my Poseidon Pros to Whitetail Camp because people had issues where they weren't, either the plug wasn't working in their battery or whatever. And I would just toss them one of mine and be like, hey, use this. It's pretty much indestructible. Like, just some people use them for chew toys for their dogs, play fetch with their dogs with it and while they're charging their battery. But no, it really is. You guys make a really, really good product. And I guess the only thing that I've heard from people when I talk to them about it is the price versus others. And I just say, yeah, I agree. If you're sitting in an office or you're just traveling on an airplane or whatever, there might be some cheaper options out there, but they are cheaper. They're not going to last you as long. The warranty is not going to be nearly as good as Dark Energy, and you're not going to want to get them caught in any kind of weather because it's just another electronic to go bad. So I've got my wife using them and abusing them, and all the kids, I've always got one with me in case the kids need something or whatever. So they're awesome. They're really good. So yeah, definitely recommend people step out at the Hunt Expo or step by at the Hunt Expo to check out the new stuff. Get your hands on these batteries as well, and pick one up at the show.
please do.
If you're listening remote, go ahead.
I was gonna say at the show we're doing a special show discount as well as we have a bunch of free stuff. So you want free bags, and we're actually gonna have free cables this year. So anyway, just a couple.
My question for you:
Yeah.
when are you guys coming out with a heated vest?
I, I don't know necessarily about a vest, but heating products are on the docket for this year. So
I
I
bet those
mentioned some
whitetail
things
kids
were
would
coming
love
later,
that.
but there are things coming later. We'll see if we get into the clothing stuff. Um,
Just a base layer heated vest for those whitetail hunters that are sitting in the stand during, November, December, January.
I'll put that in with the team. I know
I'm
we've
sure your
talked about
wife would
heated
agree. We'll
stuff.
get your wife on board.
I'm sure she would love a heated vest. I would love a heated vest.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So
That's awesome. Cool. Well, anything else, Brayden, that we didn't touch on that you want to hit on?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all. Yeah, I'm sure we'll chat again soon. We'll have new stuff coming out all year. I think looking at the beginning plan of the year, we have 11 new products coming on the plan for this year. Whether or not all of them actually happen, we'll see. But there are lots of new and exciting things coming from Dark Energy. So keep an eye out for that.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, I love to hear that. Awesome. Well, guys, again, definitely go check out Dark Energy. If you're listening to this and you're not at the Hunt Expo, go check it out. Use code RedBeard over there. If you are at the Hunt Expo, stop by the booth, get a good discount there at the booth, and grab some free stuff, and check out their new generator that they're coming out with, which I think everyone at this point, you need to get into having some kind of, and I've been looking at it, I don't have a full home backup system. I have enough batteries that we could plug the essentials in, but getting a good generator for your house that will last you for a little bit, a day, couple hours, whatever,
Yep.
is becoming essential. So, redundancies, guys, you got to make sure you have those. But
Exactly.
yeah, anyway, with that being said, thanks so much, Brayden, for coming on. Hope you have a great day, and guys out there listening, have a fantastic one. And like I always say, get out, live your life, and love it.